Hello, today is the 6th of September 2025. As always, we'll start with our disclaimer. We'll go over our calls. We'll look at the long-term picture because it's the weekend, and then we'll give our prediction. So this is my trading plan for Monday. Monday is the 8th of September 2025. Remember, it's just a plan at this point. I can change it, I can be wrong, and all trades should be made at your own risk. On Friday, we looked for the pattern with the early high, which we got. We had an optional target. We said it printed 95% of the time, and I said bears needed a negative close to keep the thesis that we were having a correction intact, and I wasn't certain we would get that. So we got our target, actually. We had this huge gap up. It looked completely out of reach, but we dropped to the target. It isn't just a target, it's a support area as well, and that usually will go a little bit under the target. This looks like magic, but it's really not. All the rules are in my book and in my webinar, and anyone familiar with the system would make the exact same call. So this is just a review of what we said. We got the gap and prompt move outside the day's range. We needed a negative day to keep the idea we had intact, and we got it even though we gapped up. And these are the patterns we should see next week. Well, we got a buy signal here. Buy signals in MEJT just set a higher target. They say nothing about the entry and nothing about the next move. The next move was down. The system said it was false because there was a buy signal. These things don't stick. And then we achieved the target, satisfying the prediction for the buy signal. That's played out. Well, what does this new high and rejection of it have to do with the long-term picture? We had a 913.9 sell signal by Tom DeMark back in July. These things don't require a drop. It just means you're overextended. You can take care of an overextended position by consolidating rather than by dropping. I think that's what's happened. The stop is based on closing prices and is to be interpreted loosely. I think a consolidation like this is enough to satisfy the pattern. I think we're still within the influence of the pattern because multiple attempts to break out have not worked. And here's a breakout to a new all-time high which couldn't clear the prior high on the close. And the breakout to a new all-time high with a negative close is a negative pattern and should lead to lower prices. Now again, things don't finalize until Monday's open. We open up here, that goes by the wayside. But this is on the verge, and it didn't quite make a rejection. If we had closed down here, I would say we had a reversal bar from the upper Bollinger Band when the band's flat, which would require a challenge, not necessarily a touch of the lower band. But time doesn't run out until the open, so if we open down here, that completes the pattern, and we should at least have a challenge for this lower band, which isn't all that far away, but I wouldn't want to sit through it. Well, we should find some way to count this move up, and it's not clear to me. I have a number of counts which work, none of which really set the world on fire, if you ask me. Originally, we had this count. This could be the end of wave 2. All the fibs work here. But then you would have to count this as a 5-wave structure, and I've tried and tried and tried, and I just can't do it. It could be just A of 2, and this could be B. That doesn't break any rules, and that's a valid count. It doesn't tell us we have to end here, but that's one of the valid counts out there. I had this and everything worked perfectly until this last rally. It's no longer, this was an old count. It still is a valid count. I mean, you don't have to have perfect Fibonacci ratios and such things, but the further away you get from the fib ratios, the less confidence I have in the count. I was able to come up with something where all the fib ratios work perfectly. I had to move magenta A from here to here. It doesn't really change anything. We had an ABC. C doesn't have to end here. This is an ABC, but I mean, this still works. And this is A instead of here. This would be your A. B I had to move, but that doesn't bother me because we have an ABC with C and A are in good ratios. That could be B. And this could be gray C. And if this is gray C, and if this is gray A, waves balance out. I mean, this could be a expanded flat for this A. That doesn't bother me. So, I mean, the waves all balance here. And if they balance here, and you just look at this last wave, black C, I mean, you can count this as AB and then ABCDE for an ending diagonal triangle. Again, I'm not claiming it's the only count, but it's a valid count. And if it's the right count, we're going to drop. Well, Monday's pattern has a really low, regardless of where we open. Typically, it's a rally day with a fine lower high. If it's weak, we should see more weakness. Move to a new all-time high was rejected, as we had a negative close, which undercut the prior daily high. The decline was an impulse, and this is an impulse. The recovery is overlapping. It implies this drop is not over. I can't count 3 waves down or 5 waves down. In addition, Friday was a direct hit of a timing method based on someone else's work. There's a friend of mine has a timing system. His dates don't always work, but when there is a significant change in trend, it's usually one of his dates. And we had a direct hit there on Friday. The wave count isn't clear to me, but one of the valid counts has wave balance at the high of day with an ending diagonal triangle. It's not the only count, but if we drop, it certainly explains things, and all the fibs work. I still feel we're in a correction or consolidation in a strong bull market. Absent gapping up smartly, I look for lower prices Monday. Doesn't mean we close lower, but we don't close lower. I think I'd be suspicious of the analysis. The main thing which concerns me is I just can't count this rally as a 5-wave structure. Hold on. I just can't count this as a 5. And if it isn't a 5, there has to be a pullback at some point. And there certainly is justification for saying the pullback starts here, even though I think we have much higher prices to come. So I'm looking for a drop on Monday. I'd rather see a significant pullback here, even if it isn't huge. I'd like to see a pullback so this whole wave of correction consolidation completes, after which I think we'll have a third wave higher, which should be a huge move up. Let's see if the prediction works. We're looking for the pattern with the early low, looking for lower prices, hopefully a lower close. And that's today's call.